Brawl Stars balance, it's for sure not at its worst, but it could be a lot better. So today I'm gonna suggest my top 20 balances that I want to see for the next patch notes. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and let's start with our top 20, which is Ruffs. Now, Ruffs, it's not necessarily a bad brawler, but his hypercharge, it's honestly a lot harder to get value from than I anticipated. So I'm gonna give two simple buffs to the hypercharge. To start off, if you already have your hypercharge active when you collect the hypercharge drop, instead of just not getting any value out of Ruff's hypercharge, instead the hypercharge duration would be resetted. On top of that, if you already have Ruff's collectible collected, you will still get your hypercharge refilled by collecting the hypercharge collectible. So essentially, the hypercharge collectible and the regular collectible that Ruffs has are now different things. Ruff's hypercharge is for sure a very strategic one, but right now it's just way too hard to get value from it, so hopefully these two buffs would make that easier. Next, in 19th place, we have Bull, and honestly, Bull has just been a bad brawler for a very long time. I would say that every single tank can apply pressure to the enemy team just by existing due to their HP or tankiness in general, and Bull just cannot do that. I would say that up to a certain point, Bull sometimes plays more like a weird assassin rather than a tank. So I would fix it by simply increasing Bull's HP from 10,000 to 11,000. And even though it's a lot of HP, I still feel like it wouldn't really make Bull that much stronger, because Bull's super would still be slow, and Bull, in comparison to, for example, Ollie, he doesn't deal as much damage at long ranges. So trust me when I say Bull would still be balanced, even with a 1000 HP increase. Next we have Juju, and she needs a couple changes. To start off, and honestly the most important thing, her pet damage would be reduced by a whopping 50%. I know it's a lot, but the pet is honestly way too good. And even though a lot of people are asking for it to get the health nerfs, and even though I agree with that up to a certain point, I honestly feel like the biggest issue is just how well that simple toy counters close range brawlers. A close range brawler will never have a chance to defeat that toy, because guess what? The toy will just deal to 1600 damage instantly to them, and it attacks quite fast as well. And don't even get me started if Juju is using her second star power. If Juju is using that star power, you're dead. There is nothing you can do. In my eyes, Chris just deals way too much damage for what it is meant to be. So reducing that damage by 50% would for sure make the toy a lot easier to counter, hopefully. But this would not be the only change that she would receive. Her second gadget, the Elementalist, would have the invisibility a little bit of a nerf, where now if you attack while the gadget is active, the invisibility would just disappear, like every other invisibility in the game. I don't really know why this happens to her gadget, and I don't know why they still haven't fixed it. It genuinely makes no sense to me. And the final change that I would do to her, it's actually somewhat a buff, because Juju would now have the option to equip the pet gear. Am I the only one that thinks the new brawlers are not receiving any epic gear on purpose? Because I think that the last new brawler kinda to have a new epic gear was like, what, Colette or something? Wait, Colette doesn't even have an epic gear now that I think about it. But the point stands, none of the new brawlers have an epic gear, and that's just weird, honestly. Especially for Juju, a brawler that clearly deserved the pet gear. So with all of these changes, Juju would become a way much more balanced brawler. Next, in 17th place, we have Fang, and more specifically, his hypercharge. His hypercharge has just been honestly mediocre for the longest time, and Fang is not even a good brawler, which just makes it even worse. So I would want to see the following changes to the hypercharge. The charge rate would be drastically increased from 20% to 30%. So instead of needing a whopping 5 supers to get the hypercharge, now you would need 3.33 supers. But to compensate for this massive buff, the hypercharge bonus damage and bonus shield would be reduced from plus 15% to plus 5%. These would make a lot easier to counter Fang's hypercharge, allowing you to have a reasonable amount of hypercharges throughout the entirety of the game. The problem with Fang's hypercharge is that if you play with 2 brain cells, it's essentially guaranteed team wipe. But sometimes it just takes way too long, and if the enemy plays very well, you might never get the hypercharge. And making Fang hypercharge easier to counter by reducing the super damage, which would make the first star power weaker with the hypercharge, and by reducing the shield, which would make Fang easier to kill during the hypercharge, I think that the hypercharge would be a way much more balanced hypercharge, and maybe who knows, Fang might become better and balanced with this change. Then in 16th place we have Willow, and more than just buffs, I also want to see a couple bug fixes that she has, so let's start with the plain buffs. Her reload time would be reduced from 2 seconds to 1.8 seconds. This would allow Willow to deal more damage throughout the match, and she is kind of a damage dealer up to a certain point because she just deals a lot of damage with her basic attack, so having a faster reload speed would be very helpful to her to really get those kills. But then we have the bug fixes. To start off, her first gadget would now correctly charge her super. I am not sure if this is a bug or if this is meant to be a feature, because this has been in the game for honestly such a long time that I don't even know what to think at this point. But one thing that is for sure not a feature, it is not being able to attack not hypnotized, but mind-controlled enemies. This has happened to me so many times, and it just doesn't feel right for you to not be able to attack them. I am pretty sure that this was not meant to be a thing, and I really hope that this gets fixed, because even though Willow is not by any means a strong brawler, this interaction is just cursed and should clearly be fixed. Next on the list we have Lily, and she would have 2 simple buffs. Start off, even if your super hits a wall, it would still teleport you. Similar to how Buzz works, if you hit a wall, you would still get pulled and still get the stun. So now that would be very similar to Lily. On top of that, her super would now have a bonus effect. When it connects to a person, your damage to the super would also apply a silence for 1 second. So this would make Lily a lot more aggressive, because your super would always have value. The super doesn't deal much damage, but the silence would just allow Lily to deal so much more damage to the enemy. Next on the list we have Mortis in 14th place, and honestly I just want a simple nerf to his hypercharge. The hypercharge bonus damage would be reduced from 25% to bonus 15%. The problem with Mortis hypercharge is that it's a guaranteed team wipe. The hypercharge is so good that it nearly makes Mortis a tank counter. That's just how strong it is. So this relatively small damage nerf would make the hypercharge nowhere near as overpowered as it is, because even with both of the charge rate nerfs, I still see so many Mortis hypercharge throughout the game, and they are just guaranteed team wipes, and it's just honestly not funny to face off against a Mortis hypercharge. Next, in 13th place we have Edgar, and he would have a similar rework to Fang. His health would be increased from 6,600 to 7,000, and his damage would be increased from 1,080 to 1,120. But both his hypercharge bonus damage and shield would be reduced from 15% to only 5%. The main goal with this rework is just to make Edgar viable without the hypercharge. Edgar with the hypercharge, it's really strong, really good, but besides the hypercharge, Edgar by himself, it's just so weak, dies too easily, honestly nowadays doesn't deal that much damage, so These two buffs would fix that, and by compensating those buffs with a hypercharged power nerf, it would balance everything out. So maybe with these changes, Edgar would finally be a balanced brawler. Next, in 12th place, we have Lumi. And even though Lumi I do think it's very strong, I feel like she's not broken, so I will go soft on the nerfs for now. Her second gadget, it's by far the biggest problem honestly, so the cooldown of the gadget would be increased from 18 seconds to 21 seconds. That gadget, you just get way too much value out of it. On top of it, the damage would be decreased from 120 to only 60. If you have a gadget whose whole purpose is to deal damage, you cannot have the other gadget do damage and do something else that it's absolutely broken. So these would not only make the second gadget a lot weaker, but hopefully make the gadget choice a little bit harder. On top of that, her second star power slow duration would be slightly reduced from 2 seconds to 1.5 seconds. That slow will make anyone's brawler life just miserable. That slow, it's so strong honestly, it's insane how much value you can get from this slow. So the slight duration nerf should probably be enough to tone down the slow a little bit. Next, in 11th place, we have Bonnie, and I just want two simple buffs to her. Her cannon form HP would be increased from 9,600 to 10,000, making the cannon a little bit tankier to compensate for that slow reload and movement speed in general. On top of that, her human form super cooldown would be reduced from a whopping 16 seconds to only 8 seconds. Just staying on that human form for so long, it's truly a nightmare. Next, in 10th place, we have Stu, and if you watched my history video on Stu, which you should totally watch it, you probably already know what I'm going to ask. A hypercharge bonus damage reduction from plus 25% to plus 5%. Stu's hypercharge, it's really cool, getting the infinite supers, it's very awesome, but the bonus damage just makes Stu a killing machine during the hypercharge. And having that while having infinite supers, it's just too many things. And Stu is meant to be a pressure brawler that is not the best at assassinating people. But the hypercharge just adds so much damage to Stu that Stu can now easily kill most of the brawlers with 3 ammo, which just makes the hypercharge way too much versatile. Reducing the bonus damage would keep the hypercharge fun, but nowhere near as broken. Then in 9th place we have Sam, and it's time for justice to his hypercharge, because that hypercharge, it's just way too weak right now. If you even get it once throughout the match, I mean it's nice, but man, until you get that hypercharge, good luck honestly. So the hypercharge deserves a rework, because it cannot stay with this insane charge rate cost, but at the same time the hypercharge is way too good to have a low charge rate cost. So let's fix it by completely reworking the hypercharge. Instead of just getting the super back by only hitting one enemy, now you would get the super back when the gauntlets would stop traveling. This means that if you spam your super against the wall, you would immediately have the super back, which enhances how you play Sam. But on top of that, if you just hit enemies, it will immediately get your super back. If you just hit them at let's say a very open map, you would have to wait until the gauntlets reach the end of the super range to get your super back, which would make cycling supers with Sam no way near as broken. So with this in mind, the charge rate would then be buffed from 20% to 35%. So instead of costing 5 supers, it would now cost 2.85 supers, making Sam's hypercharge strong and then making Sam balanced. Next, in 8th place, we have Carl, and for Carl, I just want a simple nerf to his first gadget, because that first gadget, it just deals way too much damage. 740 damage, it's way too much. per tick, potentially getting 7 ticks of that? That's insane, honestly. Way too much damage. So what I would simply do would be to reduce the gadget damage by 20%. So instead of being 740 ticks of damage per second, it would now be 592 damage per second. It would still be a good amount of damage, but no way near as broken as it used to be. Like, the whole burning damage, instead of being 2000, nearly 900 damage, it would now barely reach the 2400 damage, so it would be a lot less damage, and this would make the gadget way much less toxic, because man, that thing just deals so much damage, honestly. In 7th place we have Doug, and I've been asking this for ages, so let's just make it quick. Give him the heal trait. His super revive would not influence the heal trait, reduce the revive HP from 100% to 66%, and make so that his first gadget, instead of having 15 seconds of cooldown, which is just ridiculous, make so that it would now have a 8-second cooldown, because that thing heals practically nothing, and I mean, it's just way too expensive, and hopefully all of these changes together would make Doug a balanced brawler. Next, in 6th place we have Meeple, and his damage would be reduced from 2600 to 2400. That guided projectile deals way too much damage. It's way too unfair, honestly. And on top of that, his first gadget duration would be reduced from 4 seconds to only 3 seconds. Controlling a lane for 4 seconds, it's too much. And to be honest, I think that even with the 3 seconds, that gadget would still be really good. And finally, the Rage Quit would have 2 nerfs. The cooldown would be increased from 18 seconds to 21 seconds. Do not underestimate how strong this gadget is, I am serious. But on top of that, you no longer can use this gadget if you're at full HP. Being able to interrupt any super ability in the game, it's really strong, and it just shouldn't be a thing, honestly. You know what else shouldn't be a thing? You not subscribing to the channel! How dare you! If you're liking the content so far, please make sure to subscribe. It takes a long time to make these videos. And while you're doing that, join our Discord server, where not only can interact with the rest of the community, but help me with the videos. From time to time, I will ask for your opinion, and some of those opinions might come into the video. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, join our Discord server, and let's keep going with the video. And now, entering our top 5, starting in 5th place, we have Ollie. And Ollie would have a lot of tiny nerfs. Start off, his super duration would be reduced from 2.5 seconds to 2 seconds. That taunt is deadly. It's a death sentence to anyone that gets hit. On top of that, his HP would be slightly reduced from 11,200 to 11,000. Honestly, Ollie is too tanky, way too strong and way too beefy. And to complete this idea, his second star power, the shield, would be reduced from 4k HP, which it's insane that he still has that amount of shield, to 3k. It's still a lot, but 4k shield, it's just absurd. That's essentially a Gus super on top of your own super, which is just way too strong, honestly. So hopefully with all of these nerfs, Ollie would finally become a balanced brawler. Next, in 4th place, we have Clancy, and I would have what I would call a very necessary rework for him. So, his level 1 damage would be increased from 1,200 to 1,400, and his super cost would be decreased from 8 hits to only 7 hits, making level 1 no way near as painful to play as. Secondly, his level 2 form now also increases your movement speed from normal to fast. It wouldn't still be the super fast that you get at level 3, but it would be the middle term since you're in level 2, which is the middle term between level 1 and level 3. Finally, the level 3 would receive some nerfs. The damage would be reduced from 1,600 to 1,400, which would imply that his super charge rate, or his super cost, would be increased from 6 hits to 7 hits. So now, Clancy would have the same damage throughout all of the levels and the same charge rate. I will never understand why they did this change to him, honestly. So this is just fundamentally necessary. But honestly, with all of these changes, it almost seems like a nerf to Clancy, so after all of these changes, I would also increase his HP from 6,600 to 7,000, making it also easier for Clancy to approach the enemies even at level 3 since it now deals less damage. Hopefully with all of these changes, Clancy would finally become once and for all a balanced brawler. Now, in third place, we have Janet, and I have a very simple nerf that would most likely fix most of Janet's problems in my opinion, which would be a recharge rate nerf of 50%. So now, instead of each of the bombs giving you 1/6 of the super, they will now give you 1/12 of the super. Or in percentage, instead of giving 16.8%, they would now give 8.4%. The problem with Janet right now is that getting your first super, it's not horrible, but if you can cycle your supers well, it's absurd, especially with the hypercharge. If you use well your hypercharge, you can essentially use 2 supers in a row, which is just so toxic. So this would not be an insane nerf to Janet, but I think that this would genuinely fix all of the annoying parts about her kit at the moment. Now, in second place, we have Gray, and he would have some quite severe nerfs. His charge rate would be decreased from 29% to only 20%. So instead of needing 4 hits to get your super, you would now need 5 hits to get your super. I cannot believe that it only takes 4 hits to get his super, and honestly, I don't know how it took me so long to realize this was even a thing. But the second nerf, and honestly the most important, is that your hypercharge portal now despawns after existing for 20 seconds. Having an eternal portal like that, it's just the most annoying and cheesy friendly hypercharge I have ever seen. It's just not fun at all. It's so toxic at some points that you just literally lost a game in some hot zone maps against certain matchups. It's just way too toxic and way too cheesy again. So with a charge rate nerf, it would also be harder to get the hypercharge portal, and because that hypercharge portal would now only last up to 20 seconds, that means that in some scenarios you might actually end up losing the hypercharge portal after a while. So now if you want to keep those 2 portals, you need to play well with Gray. And finally, in first place, we have Pam, and she received 3 buffs. To start off, her HP would be increased from 9,600 to 10,000, now having the same HP as 8-bit. Her damage would be increased from 500 to 20 to 560, dealing even more damage, and on top of that, her reload time would be reduced from 1.3 seconds to 1.1 seconds. Pam, it's not tanky enough, her super it's somewhat underwhelming, her damage it's way too inconsistent. So the way to fix all of this, it is by increasing her HP slightly, by making her deal more damage, and by making her shoot more. So hopefully with all of these buffs, Pam might actually become again a good brawler in Brawl Stars. And there you have it, my top 20 changes that I want to see in the next patch notes. What are your thoughts? Write your opinion in the comments down below, trust me, I will read them. Join our Discord server, link in the description, subscribe, and I'll see ya on the next video.